Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. It has just finished. Arsenal won, Brentford won at the Emirates Stadium. You know, as we are getting closer to the final chapter of the 2024-2025 Premier League season, it just seems like Arsenal have their eyes on a different prize and they've totally given up. And with 10 points behind Liverpool after today, you know, it's just a shame because if we'd taken all 3 points at Everton, and then also today if we'd taken all 3 points as well, it would have meant that we would have been 6 points behind Liverpool and put a little pressure on them because we've still got like what 6-7 games to go. So yeah, it's just a shame to see the Premier League actually slip away, even though I knew we were done right after that West Ham game. But yeah, let's get into today. A few things, actually, one thing to mention before getting into the whole drama of today. A couple of days ago, or was it yesterday, Edu released a statement. Our former director of football, now he's leaving the club. He released a statement, in appreciation for the club and the fans and everything. And I also would love to appreciate him because we as a club won't be where we are today without Edu, and some of the magic is done in the transfer window to get some of the signings we needed, like Partey over the line, Gabriel, just a number of things he's done at the club to get us where we are today, challenging both in the Premier League and the Champions League. So big ups to Edu. However, I will say that I've been calling out for heads to roll this season. Like I said, like someone needs to go to jail for what we did in the transfer window this season. And it seems like a head did roll. We may not know it, but it's right there in front of us, in Edu's, leaving the club, at the end of the day, because after this year's summer transfer window, something needed to be done. January wasn't even as bad, because January was just a continuation of what was already bad, and that was the summer transfer window. And I feel with him not bringing in a forward, they were probably waiting for Nico Williams, and didn't have a plan B type of thing. And chicken came home to roost, because if Raheem Sterling is who they thought they were just going to use to kind of like blag their way through this season and hope that he does something, and just that Havertz just keeps on playing, because Sterling hasn't really featured this season, regardless of him being fit or being eligible to play. Like today, I don't see any reason why Sterling couldn't start today, but still on the bench. So I feel a head did roll. Now let's get into the game. And Edu, wish you all the best, all success in wherever you go, and thank you. But yeah, let's get into the game, because the starting lineup was different. Everything was different today, considering that we have a next tie against Real Madrid coming up this week. So we needed to rest some players, and Arteta ended up resting 5 players, making 5 changes. So we had David Raya goal. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it because Neto is still on the bench right now, even as we speak, or as we are right here. Then on the right, instead of Ben White, who we're kind of expecting today, Thomas Partey had to be our makeshift right back yet again. But that's because Ben White picked up a knock, or he just didn't pass a late fitness test before the match. And then our right centre half today was William Saliba, Kivior next to him, which was good to see that partnership, because we need that partnership going into the game against Real. Remember, all eyes on Real Madrid. And then our left back today was Tierney, and brilliant to see Tierney back in the starting lineup, and just his final days as an Arsenal player, because we all know in the summer he's agreed to go back to the Celtic, his childhood football club, or the club where we even got him from. So good to see him. And then in the middle, there was a different mix today, even though we still had Rice, but we had a Jorginho and Zinchenko, mix in there. So different, quite different. And then on the right, moving into the forward line, Ethan Nwaneri on the right hand side, and Leandro Trossard down the middle today, with Mikel Merino getting a rest. And then on the left we had Gabriel Martinelli. So yeah, let's get into it, because I've just got 5 minutes to deliver all the drama that happened today. 5 minutes into the game, Brentford trying to put body on us, but they forget that we're not the Arsenal they played back in 2019 when they came into the Premier League. This Arsenal is different. This Arsenal put body back on them today. Saliba showed strength today. You know, everyone showed strength and put bodies back on them. So by the 7th minute, the game was kind of settled, and then it was a bit back and forth. Arsenal having majority of the possession, sorry. But you know, there was an opportunity where Martinelli could have easily, you know, broken forward and just, you know, gone straight for goal. But Mbeumo puts body on him, and it just goes to show that Gabriel Martinelli, he's come up against someone who in January we were calling for the club to sign. In Mbeumo, we wanted. Most fans actually would go, even in the summer, I would still go for Mbeumo for an option on the left. And he showed some good strength today, because he just pushed, he got Martinelli off that ball easy. Martinelli gave up the ball, and I think Martinelli's got his eyes again on the Champions League game, so he was off today. And then Brentford, you know, trying to get through, and one of their wing backs actually gets, you know, through on goal, and, you know, lets off a shot. But David Raya, luckily, was, you know, just in right position, and saves us, and keeps the game at 0-0 at that point in time. But come the 25th minute, after like 3 back-to-back corners, we finally get the ball into the net through with Kieran Tierney, and you know, everyone thought he scored, but you know, you could see from the replay that he was miles offside. You know, so goal cancelled, and we're back at, you know, level. And yeah, the game opened up a lot more then, but still we couldn't get any joy. Like, I'm not gonna go in on Martinelli and Trossard. They were poor today in that front line. In fact, the whole front line was poor. Even Nwaneri didn't really have much joy today as well. But then, you know, it's just, as much as we had our opportunities, there was something I need to point out, because the refs are just biased against us. There was a time Martinelli got brought down by Norgard, and he only gets a yellow. And Miles Lewis-Kelly got a red the other day from Taylor when, you know, he kind of like just put a foot out, you know. But then this one, it was a clear, you know, hacking of Martinelli. Yet all he gets was a yellow. And Martinelli, I think, was, you know, probably the only person in their half, you know. But he was just starting to break regardless. Anyway, I'm not saying that this one should have been a red. I'm just saying that, you know, how can the other one be a red and this one be a yellow? Both of them are yellow at most. You get me? But yeah, we move into the second half. Not much going on. Actually, Declan Rice. I need to mention Declan Rice, because that man, audacious as hell. Audacious. He had a chance, because he takes our corner kicks as well. And he's trying to score from a corner today. Can you imagine this guy? Madman. Moving mad. But yeah, just before the half, Trossard lets off a shot, but you know, saved by the keeper, and the pigeon was in the way as well. So the keeper pulls off a good save, and we're going to the half. But it seems like Mikel Arteta had a dressing down to the players, because they came out in the second half and they came out strong. You know, they started putting pressure. I think the goal they had disallowed as well kind of like, you know, gave them, you know, motivation to go into the second half strong. So they came out strong, and then one time Zinchenko actually found himself through on goal. But then I don't get why he doesn't go down, because he gets pushed by the Brentford defender, but he doesn't go down, and that could have easily been a penalty. But hey, we move, because not long after, we finally get our goal. Brentford get a corner. They don't score from the corner. They don't do nothing from the corner, actually. The Raya picks up the ball and rolls out a perfectly weighted ball to Declan Rice, who then runs the length of the pitch with options of Martinelli on his left and Thomas Partey. And I'm just there screaming, give it to Partey! Give it to Partey! Because Martinelli, I didn't trust him today to do anything. So Declan Rice rolls the ball to Partey in a dangerous area just as they get into the box, and Partey lets off this beautiful one-time, shot, and we're up 1-0. Great goal. And you kind of got the confidence that, okay, we're going to see the game out. 2 minutes later, Arteta makes some changes. He brings off Zinchenko off, who just had probably just a 5 out of 10, an average game today. Brings off Zinchenko for Odegaard. Takes off Tierney for Miles Lewis Kelly. Tierney had a fairly okay game as well. And then took off Nwaneri, who I told you already, not the best of games for him, for Bukayo Saka, and he got, the most deserved ovation from the Emirates stadium with the fans in there. And I would love, anyway, I'm not gonna go into it. Next game, we have our eyes on the prize anyway, so let's not harp on, fans not being loud enough in our stadium. Yeah, so we move on. We're still playing good football, but I feel, I don't know, the substitutions needed to be made because they need to get a run. Saka needs to get a run out because he's not match fit. So he definitely needs to get a run out. But then the subs kind of weakened us because the Brentford smelled blood and they just kept coming at us and we couldn't contain them. It was tough. Just Saliba stepped up, Partey stepped up, and my man of the match probably would have gone to Saliba, but it's going to Partey, even though he did come off for Urine Timber, but he's my man of the match today. Saliba is only because he was kind of at fault also for the goal. So we move because let's talk about the goal now, because the ball comes in, Trossard, half-hearted, defending. Same with Rice. Rice was probably tired, and Rice needs to start getting rest, because this guy is just playing too many games. He's playing too many games, but still, he's a machine. And he was good in certain parts today, but not his best game. Rice also makes a half-hearted, attempt as well. The defender, the wing back, the substitute for Brentford chips a ball in. What's his name? Coyote. But he plays for Italy. But amazing wing back. Chips the ball in. Saliba doesn't win the header. I think what's his name? Norgard or I've forgotten. But a Brentford player and not Norgard wins the header, and then Wissa. This guy, give him half a chance, he scores. He's such a threat every time. And that's what happened. Half a chance, they score because they've got a proper centre forward. And if Arsenal had a centre forward today, like we've been saying, hence why a head did have to roll, we probably won't be where we are right now. Who knows where we will be. Yeah, so at that point, 1-1, it's it just kind of dampens the spirit. Everywhere it kind of went flat. Even I felt flat. So and that's kind of how the game finished. But before the game finished, there was a little bit more drama because at this point we've made 5 substitutions. Remember, Zinchenko came off, Tierney came off, Nwaneri came off, Partey came off. And then who's the last person to come off again? We'd made 5 substitutions basically, and then Jorginho goes down, and we have to finish the game with 10 men. Still with 10 men, we had opportunities, and Saka, oh my God, before we even went down to 10 men, Saka had this opportunity where he nicks the ball from the goalkeeper, but he couldn't convert. Oh, yeah. So that's the story of the day. We finished Arsenal 1, Brentford 1. We move next game against the Real Madrid this week. I can't wait for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Wish you all peace and love, and all the best to Arsenal.